I'm here in Seneca Rocks this weekend camping with my family, doing some reflecting, some writing, just enjoying nature. I'm also catching up on some reading as well, but we'll get into that later. A video came up a few days ago on my FYP about the flooding that's been happening in Mason County, West Virginia. Residents of Meadowland Estates are experiencing extreme flooding at the moment. After a significant rain, runoff from a data center has flooded their yards, their homes, and damaged their properties. The first video I saw covering this was from an independent journalist, Michael Bowman. Now, I don't exactly vibe with that guy. I don't agree with his ethics. That's all I have to say about him. Whether we want him here or not, I suppose he is on the front lines in Appalachia, speaking with people and getting their stories. Parachute journalism aside, I will link his video below. Like I said, I am camping at the moment, so I don't have any access to Wi-Fi, so I will be cutting to a voiceover.
The images of flooding you're seeing are thanks to Monarch Compute Campus Project. The construction company, Nscale, stated that the amount of water overwhelmed the temporary erosion control they had in place, causing flooding. Incidents like this are what Appalachians have to look forward to in the foreseeable future as data center companies like Google and OpenAI move into the region. Virginia alone has approximately 300 data centers currently or under construction as we speak, with Northern Virginia having been dubbed the data center capital of the world. Ohio is up in the ranks with roughly 160 operational sites, while Pennsylvania, New York, and Kentucky are also seeing a surge. Here in West Virginia, we are seeing developments popping up in places like Berkeley and Putnam County, much to the dismay of the residents of those areas.
I don't trust the water. I buy water to drink.
It's a sound pollution problem. It's a water pollution problem. It changes the temperature of the water and it releases some chemicals into the water, some metals to be specific. So there's some obvious fears.
For state legislators, all they can see is dollar signs. House Bill 2014, signed into law last April, is making the state a lot more enticing for these data center companies. The Power Generation and Consumption Act encourages technology and crypto mining companies to build data centers in the state by creating the Certified Microgrid program. The bill was signed in Point Pleasant, near the Monarch Compute Campus Development Project. The Certified Microgrid program allows these companies to build their own independent power grids, preventing the facilities from draining residential and commercial power, which in turn gives them the ability to bypass certain local zoning ordinances and utility regulations to streamline the construction process. This particular data center, Monarch Compute Campus, is owned by Nscale, an AI cloud platform headquartered in London, across the pond. Nscale has a bit of a rocky history already when it comes to their relationship with contractors. But I digress. Because what is more concerning to me and to the people of Appalachia is the fact that these companies are coming in from out of state, and in this case, out of the country even, setting up shop right in our own backyards. They're hiring around 400 to 1,200 workers temporarily to construct their energy hogs that will suck the life force out of our mountains, guzzle our water, and benefit nobody but the top 1%. Our legislators are signing these bills into law on the table while they pocket the money they're receiving underneath it. Let's take a look actually at who is benefiting from deals like this being brought into West Virginia. Jim Justice, our former governor and a current U.S. Senator, dog lover, former richest person in West Virginia, who just last November was sued by the Justice Department and IRS, forcing him and his wife to pay over $5 million in overdue federal income tax plus interest. Justice has received over $10,000 in PAC and a staggering $6.1 million in Super PAC. I'll explain what those figures mean in a moment. House Representative Riley Moore has received over $19,000 in PAC and $1.5 million in Super PAC. Senator Shelley Moore Capito has the most PAC at a whopping $66,000, and Carol Miller has received $21.5 thousand. The companies contributing to their campaigns include Dominion Energy, Duke Energy, Amazon, and Microsoft, to name a few. Now you may be asking, well, what is PAC? What's the difference between PAC and Super PAC? Why should I care? PAC stands for Political Action Committee, essentially an organization that raises money to influence elections or legislation. Super PACs came onto the scene in 2010 after the Supreme Court ruled in Citizens United versus Federal Elections Commission that corporations have the same free speech rights as people. Individuals who donate to campaigns through PACs are under monetary limits, But corporations, through super PACs, can raise unlimited funds for electing or defending candidates. The only catch is that they can't coordinate directly with candidates. Wealthy individuals and corporations have free rein in this country to drown out the voices of everyday voters through the flow of their money. How does this relate to Appalachia? The boom and bust cycle. First, a rapid expansion, or boom, and then a steep contraction, or bust. Big corporations taking us for everything we're worth and leaving nothing in return when they bleed us dry of our resources. A resource is discovered or becomes profitable, companies hire workers and expand operations, communities become dependent on the industry, markets change or resources become less profitable, and then jobs disappear. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, coal companies bought enormous amounts of Appalachian land, often for prices that local residents later felt did not reflect the true value of the coal underneath. Many families did not fully understand the mineral rights that they were signing away. Large corporations established company towns, where they owned the houses, stores, schools, and sometimes even paid workers in company scrip instead of cash. Workers would become economically dependent on the company, making it difficult to challenge poor working conditions. The Battle of Blair Mountain became one of the most famous examples of miners resisting corporate power and demanding better treatment. The largest labor uprising in the United States history since the Civil War, right here in West Virginia. For 5 days, from late August to early September 1921, 10,000 armed coal miners confronted lawmen and strikebreakers who were backed by coal mine operators during the miners' attempt to unionize the southwestern West Virginia coal fields when tensions arose between workers and mine management. The battle ended after approximately 1 million rounds were fired, and the United States Army intervened by presidential order, but not before Sheriff Don Chaffin's anti-union forces and privately hired pilots dropped improvised explosives and tear gas from biplanes onto striking coal miners, an aerial bombardment against American citizens on U.S. soil. These were people fighting for their freedom under the tyranny of the coal companies, and they paved the way for the 40-hour work week and the right to unionize under the New Deal. Another famous example is timber extraction. Before coal dominated, timber companies cut vast areas of Appalachian forests. Lumber was shipped out of the region, generating significant profits for companies and investors. But once the valuable timber was removed, many companies moved on, leaving local communities with eroded hillsides and fewer economic opportunities. Most famously, oil, gas, and chemical industries. In parts of Appalachia, oil and gas development brought jobs and revenue, but also concerns about water contamination, land use, and long-term environmental impacts. One of the examples of contamination I talked about in my last video is linked to facilities operated by DuPont near Parkersburg, West Virginia. Residents and workers were exposed to PFAS for years before the full extent of the contamination became widely known. For many Appalachians, this particular case especially reinforced the feeling that corporations often profit first while communities bear the risk. Maybe development wouldn't be bad. A lot of our infrastructure is outdated. We're falling behind in categories like education and health, but these decisions should be made by the community that has to face the repercussions every day, not outsiders looking to turn a quick profit at our expense.
Welcome back. I have a book recommendation for you. This is what I've been reading since I've been here. This is They Poison the World, Life and Death in the Age of Forever Chemicals by Mariah Blake. I have not finished it yet, but I still highly recommend it. What I've read so far is pretty amazing and interesting and at times terrifying.
Blake's book details the years-long fight of Michael Hickey and his family against DuPont and the effect their chemicals, PFOAs, had on the environment in their town of Hoosick Falls, New York, after Michael's father passed from a devastating battle with cancer.
Opening up, but it was when Hickey's father and several other residents were diagnosed with cancer that both men became suspicious of the chemical PFOA used by nearby manufacturing plants located right next to the village's water supply.
They didn't believe in me. A lot of people didn't, but he did. And once he did, it changed everything.
Decades of legal battles, a major environmental class action tied to chemical contamination in the village of Hoosick Falls has now reached a final settlement. Case centers around DuPont and the discovery in 2016 of PFOA, or forever chemicals, in the drinking water. The contamination raised long-term health concerns, including an increased risk of cancer.
I believe these are stories that need to be told, and people need to be aware of the poisons that are in their own homes. That's all I have for you. I will leave some links to some research down below as always. I will also put my Substack in the description if you're interested in that. Bye.